you've seen it all since you've taken over there, right? You came in with a deficit in your athletic budget. You've watched NIL become a part of the conversation. And then, of course, the transfer portal, and now USC and UCLA deciding to embark and go someplace else outside the Pac-12 footprint to the Big Ten. Just kind of talk about what that journey's been like, the evolution, and where Washington State fits in the conversation piece now when we're talking about the 10 remaining teams in this conference.
Well, when you take a step back, I mean, nothing's really changed for Washington State. We've always been a program that isn't as resourced as other schools, so we've always had to be a little bit different and really be more dialed in on who we bring in here and as coaches and the staffs they built up, and that's a recipe that will probably have to be a part of Washington State's DNA till the end of time. With that being said, there have been transformative changes in college athletics, just with just with the continued amount of money that gets poured into our system through these TV contracts. On top of that, we deregulated transfers last year for football. On top of that, we have this unregulated name, image, and likeness environment, and we still operate out of a historical model where we need to figure out ways to put more in our student athletes' pockets and without sacrificing the educational experience, because at the end of the day, it's still the most important piece of the entire experience, and it's the one thing that really remains undebatable is the best pathway to changing your socioeconomic status to raise your sightlines on what a future could look like is still through education, specifically college education. So our system is in a period of dynamic change. What USC and UCLA did, I guess a month and a half ago, is just a byproduct of where this thing unfortunately is headed and how TV is impacting a lot of decisions, a lot of short-term decisions relative to, what history and tradition and what those two schools have meant to the Pac-10, Pac-12. But it's where we're at, and like any era that we've ever had in college athletics, it's incumbent on us to try to, take what we have and try to make the most out of it. And where we sit today, I'm comfortable with the commitment of our 9 other schools in the Pac-10 or Pac-12 and our willingness to stay together and move forward. And you don't know what you don't know, but all of our conversations have been forward thinking, and I think everybody here on the West Coast knows what's at stake and how important it is for us to stay together as a conference.
That conversation, right? A lot of you sat in those meetings over the last year with UCLA and USC, where you had Martin Jarmond and Mike Bone and I assume President Schultz in those president meetings and stuff like that. And what was said to their face wasn't necessarily what was going on behind the scenes. What gives you a confidence that what you're experiencing together right now, the 10 of you, makes you feel like that's a more solid foundation than clearly it was just over a month and a half ago?
I would just say the level of candor in all of our meetings and the types of questions that are being asked. Everybody understands what's at stake. Everybody understands, I've said this multiple times, our biggest threat isn't multiple conferences. Our biggest threat is one conference making a decision if they want to expand more into the West Coast, and that's the conference of my alma mater. So we recognize that. So I guess the comfort comes in. These meetings have been intense. They've been highly communicative. But the fact that there's been candor in all of our meetings is where everybody's asking the right questions, and the fact that we're all asking the right questions, it gives you a little bit of comfort that everyone is trying to work together to move forward.